Happy Wednesday. Here we are. It's the middle of May. We're on the verge of another graduation. One more group of students that those of us at the CSC have grown to know and love soon will go out into the world and begin the next phase of their lives. The gospel at today's Masses has Jesus speaking to his disciples in a part of John's gospel that's often referred to as the Last Supper discourse, or Jesus' farewell discourse. It goes on through chapters 14, 15, 16, and 17 of John's gospel. In other words, it goes on for a while. And today we hear Jesus saying, I have much more to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. And I think that's how some of the professors at WashU probably feel. I know that's how those of us on the ministry staff at the CSC feel. As graduates get on with their lives, we all want them to be equipped with everything they could possibly need for the next phase, whether that be graduate school, research, a new job in the real world, the military, whatever. But on the other hand, it happens to be true that we humans only can carry so much in our backpacks or in our heads. We just can't be ready for everything. I admit to being something of a pack rat. The briefcase I carry to and from work probably contains, about twice as much stuff as it should. In my office over at the medical school, I have huge files. They're packed with old papers that I may need to check sometimes, but most days I don't even open the file drawers. In my workspace at the CSC, I recently had to pack up a bunch of boxes to clear that because of the summer renovation project. And I'm pretty certain that some of what was packed is stuff I may not need. But I wasn't quite ready to part with it. I keep that stuff in an attempt, I think, to be ready for things. I mean, you never know when you're going to be on your way to your office and you discover you might need a corkscrew. Then again, no wonder my briefcase is so heavy. When they were little, I used to tell my kids that it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I do believe that, but that's also the sort of slogan that leads some people to end up being featured on cable television and one of those reality TV shows about hoarders. But the thing is, regardless of how full our desks, our briefcases, backpacks, even our heads might be, I sometimes think that a lot of what we actually need can't be stored there. We can't really store it anywhere. Sure, we learn and we plan and we prepare, but we can't really carry around all of the things that we need to thrive. There are certain things you learn in class or in a book, but some things you only learn them through experience. I expect, for example, that 1 year ago, very few, if any, students, faculty members, administrators at WashU, or anywhere else had any idea how they were going to survive a year of COVID-19. Living through it was the only way to learn. Now, with most of life, it's not quite that dramatic, but I think more of life is like that than most of us would like to admit. As he sat talking to his disciples that night at the Last Supper, Jesus was trying to prepare them for life after he was gone, but part of him must have just been exasperated by the fact that he could tell them so many things, and they could nod and be engaged, but he knew they still probably weren't really going to get it. College, other training, it prepares us. And our books and professors and campus ministers and friends, they help us gain knowledge. But when the rubber hits the road, we learn a lot of things by living rather than by taking specific classes or reading particular books. It comes to us from what my grandparents would have called the school of hard knocks. Back to COVID-19 for a second, perhaps you had taken courses about viruses or read a lot about how they spread, but that's not the same thing as actually putting a mask over your nose and mouth before you walk into the grocery store, or stopping at the sink to wash your hands one more time. We learn about life by living it. Education helps. It's vital. Mentors are invaluable too, but reading about how to hit a baseball and actually trying to hit a baseball are two very different things. The same is true for reading a book about prayer versus actually praying. There are a lot of things that we really learn only by doing. I think Jesus knew that as he was leaving his disciples with their instructions, he had done what he could. The rest was up to them. And graduates, the rest is up to you. Now, you may take more classes or learn at the feet of other mentors, but they can take you only so far. Even Jesus couldn't tell the apostles everything. Some of it they just were going to have to live. It's in living life, all of it, the joys, the pain, the whole shooting match, that we learn how to live. Though I think it does help if we keep our mentors and Jesus on speed dial. You may even want to be sure there's a corkscrew in your briefcase.